being known is going to be the moat. When AI seems to be taking over everything, if you've been known before that happens, I think you've got an opportunity. You've got a business model there.
As a creator, how well known are you? How wide is your circle of influence? How large is your most intimate audience who come to you for thought leadership, advice, and inspiration? Today's guest calls these essential elements of true popularity your moat against the onslaught of AI algorithms and synthetic content that are drowning out those who have not yet built their following. Hello and welcome to the Business of Story. I'm Park Howell. Joe Pulizzi is the founder of Content Marketing Institute and The Tilt. He's a best-selling author of 7 books, his latest being Burn the Playbook, and he's the creator of 2 podcasts, including the longest-running marketing news show on the planet, This Old Marketing with Robert Rose. Today, you'll learn why being known is your only competitive advantage against AI. How to build your community now, because this window will close in 12 to 24 months, and your 30-minute daily practice to embrace the beast and hopefully tame it. Hello, Joe. Welcome back to the show.
Park, it must have been good the first time, or at least acceptable that you had me back. So I'm surprised.
What I did is I went back and I thought, because you were like in the first year of me producing the show, you came on, and it was actually show number 51, and this is show number 551.
I can't believe that. That's hard. Congratulations.
Thank you. People say, how the hell do you do it? You know, I mean, after show 51, people said, well, are you done? I mean, is there anything else to cover with storytelling? And I go, I'm not sure. I got to do 52 and see what happens. And, you know, it's been all across the board. It's blown my mind about where story shows up in all facets of life and business and places that I didn't even anticipate. So
absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, there's not a lot of podcasts out there that have 500 episodes. And I've got 2 of them. And
yes, you do.
I got just, we could talk about it if you want. Yeah, I just stopped producing one of them.
Which one?
And Content Inc. So Content Inc. started in 2014 as part of the book Content Inc. that came out. And I said, let's market it through a podcast, and did 520 some episodes. And right now, I'm trying to focus on the most and we'll get into this, like what is the most meaningful things we can do right now, and I'm kind of moving away from that podcast right now. So we'll see where
that's interesting, and I know you've been producing that in This Old Marketing with Robert Rose forever, and you did it, producing 2 podcasts in 1 week. I can't even imagine it because I have a hard enough time with one.
Yeah, I mean, it's. You know, we all have resolutions. We're on a new year. And I think that it's a great time to say, like, what do we need to stop doing and what do we need to do more of? And I'm like, okay, what's really going to make an impact for my audience? And that's where I said, I'm really going to focus on my newsletter. I'm going to focus on textual content. And nothing wrong with This Old Marketing. I love it. We got a great audience. We've been doing it since 2013. But where I'm putting, like, where can I make the most difference in somebody's life, in a marketer's life, in a content creator's life? I'm focusing on that weekly newsletter called The Tilt that I'm working on. And, you know, we'll see how it goes. But it's the thing that I'm most serious about right now. And I didn't want any other distractions. I'm going to just make this thing the best I can.
Yeah. Well, you gave me a piece of advice 10 years ago that I have shared with loads of people and sent them back to that conversation even today. And at that time, I was making the mistake that I think probably most content creators were making. And I was trying to be everywhere all the time, and none of it was working very well. And you gave me the sage advice of focus on one thing, Park. Is it going to be Facebook? Is it going to be LinkedIn? Was LinkedIn even around then? Is it going to be YouTube? Don't spread yourself too thin. And so my main focus has been this podcast, and then the content created on that shared through the different channels.
Well, so hopefully it was decent feedback at the time. It worked for you?
Well, it really did. And it goes back to that thing of, the one thing. And just kind of like what you're talking about for 2026. What are you going to stop doing and really focus on that one thing that has the biggest impact?
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, for some reason, I just started focusing on systems, like the systems that we're in. Like, okay, well, the education system, and people think of their career identity in that system, and then and retirement. And I'm like, I think a lot of people are just going through the motions. I think we just have to stop for 1 second and say, okay, why do we make these decisions that we make, and what decisions are we leaving to someone else? Or making a decision without making it. Like, retirement's a great one. It's like, oh, I'm going to shoot for retirement. Well, who made that up? Well, Social Security Administration did, because they wanted to move people out of the system. They said, oh, 65 will be good. And most of us weren't living that long anyways. But we kept that system going still to this day. And I talk to people that retired. I mean, you probably know some as well. They retired at 65, 67, and they lost that purpose and meaning. And they're
Mhm.
like, well, what do I do now? And it's like, well, you're shooting at the wrong goal. Nobody told you had to shoot at this retirement goal. It's just that that's the way we believed it to be. That's the system, and that's
Mhm.
how it works. And so, like, that's my whole thing. I'm like, let's push back on that a little bit. It doesn't have to be this way. We don't have to go to school for, we don't have to go to college anymore when, well, I guess you can decide
Mhm.
to. I mean, my kids went to college. I went to college. But when education is basically free today, and you can get it anywhere, and it's accessible for anywhere, what is the institution of college become? Well, you could say you might need the learning, but you can get that anywhere. You might say you want a safe experience to grow and mature. That's very expensive in that, but you can absolutely do that. But what is it really? It's a credentialing system. And so
Yeah.
I feel like I need some letters behind my name, or I need to get this document to move up and to give me an opportunity or get a part of this club. So that's the whole, and there's nothing wrong with any of those. It's just to say, before you make these decisions, let's just know what we're moving forward with. And of course, we could talk about that when it comes to content creation as well. But that's where I'm just trying to get people to say,
Mhm.
before you do these things that we always just did, to your point, oh, we got to be on Facebook, we got to be on YouTube, we got to be on podcasts today. What we're doing on TikTok, to just say, look, you know, first of all, why am I here? What am I doing? What's my purpose? What's my meaning? And then, okay, well, I would like to have more choices available to me. How do we make that happen? Well, the best thing to do, I think, right now in this limited time frame we have, is to build an audience. Is to build an audience that knows, likes, and trusts you. And we could talk about ways to do that with AI, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. Is to say that will give you the most available options to make choices and not be relegated to, I have to live here, I have to work here, I can't get time off here, I have this healthcare here. And that's all we want. We want the freedom to make as many choices as we want to make wherever we want to make them. And I'm scared that a lot of people are just defaulting to this old playbook that just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. Well, you have an excellent Friday email newsletter, The Tilt, that I love, and you always inspire me with
Thank
something
you.
one thing to think about in the following week. And I did buy one of your books from your Tilt Publishing on retirement, and for life me, I can't remember the title of it right now.
The Age of Retirement, I think. Was
Yes,
that Tom Marks? Yeah, very
yes,
good.
yeah, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Good book. Really good
And
book.
and he's the one that covers what you were just talking about the old way of thinking about retirement. And it's funny because I turned 65 on Valentine's Day, and
Congratulations. There you
thank
go.
you. I know I made it this far, by God. But I can't tell you how many people, friends, not so much because they know me, but family, and people I hang out with up here in our community in Northern Arizona. Are you retired yet? When you're retiring, Park, what's going to happen? Why aren't you retired yet? And I go, well, define retirement for me.
Yeah,
What exactly do you mean? I mean, I don't have to work anymore, but I love what I do. And I can't imagine making birdhouses and playing golf for the rest of my life. So retirement to me is a completely different thing. I tell them I've got a hobby that I get paid very well for.
that's right. That's wonderful. Yeah, I mean, I read an author recently, wrote a best-selling novel, became very popular, and said, I get to do what I always wanted to do. I travel, I research the strangest topics, and I write about them. And then he's in his bliss. And I'm like, that's kind of where I'm at too. Like, we're both blessed to be in a position where we can do that. And I'm like, okay, well, let's spend some time talking about these things. But I
Yeah.
just, like, when I talk to somebody about retirement, That's the saddest thing to me. I mean, I even have family who retired, they lost their meaning and they got sick and then they didn't get to enjoy any of those days. And I'm just like, we just need to, and by the way, there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you
Right.
decide to do.
Right.
But just remember that that whole idea of retirement was put upon us by other systems,
Mhm.
by an institution that said, "Oh, you're this age. You must move on." Well, what does that mean? Like, let's take a little bit of that back and say, to your point, what is retirement? I don't believe in it. I believe that
Yeah.
it's a made up word by people that aren't around anymore, that don't care about what we're doing anymore. So let's take a little bit of that agency back and
Yeah.
say, you know what? Well, I mean, we're all living longer. We could both be, you and I could both be living to 100 plus if we take care of ourselves. That's a long time to make an impact on society. So let's rethink this a little bit.
Joe, my mother is 100 and a half years old.
Oh
She'll be
my gosh.
101 on April 5th. In fact, I'm heading up to Seattle tomorrow to go see her
That's
again. And
beautiful.
she's doing marvelously well for that age. She has her brains, she's really very, very sharp, played cards and whatever. And of course, her body's given up a little bit, as one would after a
Sure.
century of being on this planet. But one last thing I would say about being a retiring hobbyist is that, I've been in story for decades and I've always followed the hero's journey. It's been a huge inspiration for me. Well, just last week on last week's show, I had John Booker on, the executive director of the Joseph Campbell
Oh,
Foundation.
nice.
And we spent an hour exploring the hero's journey and how it shows up in all different aspects of our lives and our businesses and whatever. Well, had I retired 6 months ago, Joe probably wouldn't have reached out to me, or John wouldn't have reached out to me and said, "Hey, man, I'd love to come on your show and talk about the hero's journey." And after he was my 550th episode, which was an anniversary episode for me, I go, "This has basically come full circle for me finally." But it's because I'm still in the game.
And we're at a point where we have a huge opportunity. And I guess we all are. Anyone listening to this, like we have such a huge opportunity today. And that's why I'm more of the AI optimist, if you will. I'm like,
Mhm.
even though I don't like some of the things that are going on, there's never been a greater time to make a big impact on as many people as possible. There
Yeah.
really hasn't been. We have to do some things, we have to make some decisions, but those decisions are very exciting. So we could talk about a lot
Well,
of
let
those as
let's
we go.
jump into that, and
Yeah.
first, for those of you that maybe do not know who you are, you essentially coined the term content marketing, what, back in 2001?
That's when I first started using it. Yeah, absolutely.
And you ran content marketing, well developed, founded, ran Content Marketing World forever, and then sold that. As I recall, you sold several of your startups, but you have always been in the content world in one way, shape, or form. A lot of your focus recently is AI and the impact on the creator economy. So, given your, 25 years now in this and 10
Yeah.
years since you've been on the show, let's talk a little bit about what you see happening with AI. Let's start with the pros and then let's look at the cons.
I think the pros are what you're seeing is I don't know of a professional creator. And by the way, a creator could be if you're visualizing a YouTuber, a newsletter writer, an author, that could be somebody independent or that could be somebody working at a company. So where there's a lot of different creators out there. I don't know of a professional creator who's not using AI tools in some way.
Mhm.
So it's not either or. You're not seeing human made content and AI made content. You are seeing this melding of the two, if you will, where you get it all the way from, hey, I want AI to help me with my titles. I want AI to help chop up this video into 16 mini videos so that I could distribute them on TikTok or Instagram or whatever. To you have some extremes that I'm not happy with, where somebody will type in a couple prompts and out comes a book where
Yeah.
I think my friend told me the other day, and I have to look this up, so don't quote me on it, but that Amazon has limited the number of books you could upload per day to 12. Just think about that for a
12.
little bit. You and I, we've written
Oh,
books and how hard it is.
oh
12 a
God.
day. I wonder how that's happening.
Takes me 12 years to write one.
It is a long and arduous process, but hopefully you're using it as an advisor, as a helper, as an assistant. We're getting faster, but maybe better. Maybe we're getting smarter at how we're using some of these tools. So I like to liken, like, I don't want to put it down in a lot of ways because sometimes I think about it from moving the typewriter to word processor. It's like,
Mhm.
wow, that was dramatic change. I was so much more efficient. I could get so much more done. Well, this is 100 or 1,000x that and getting into this. So we can do all those things. And just as an example, non-creator example, I mean, I have my ChatGPT up. It's right over here. And I have a health coach. So I talk to my health coach all the time and input what I'm doing. And we talk back and forth. So it's basically my trainer that I have right here. I have, and my financial advisor is right here as well. My co-CEO is right here. And I use that so that I can be better and I can create better content and do better things. So from that standpoint, it's almost a miracle the things that creators can do. Um, so that's the upside. So we can create hopefully better content. I'm going to say hopefully because sometimes it's not, and we all know about AI slop, and we could talk about that. But and we create it more efficiently, and it can give us the opportunity to do more things that are important to us. I can spend more time with family. I can go
Mhm.
outside. I can travel. I can do whatever I need to do that's important. That's why we're here on this earth. So, so that I love. And I actually know a lot of creators who are like, hey, I used to work 50, 60 hours a week and now I work 20. Great. Um, so on the downside of that is what we're seeing right now with the amount of AI, majority AI created content. So again, you have a human being that's behind this, not just AI creating content on its own. You have human beings that are creating, for example, at least in the last 6 months that I can tell, there's been an AI song on the Billboard Top 100 that has been not a human created. I mean, human created this thing and put in the prompts and pulled it out and maybe
Mhm.
produced some of it, but it was AI created. This is happening all the time, and every day there's more and more content that's influenced heavily by AI content. And I would say I don't know what the numbers are, Park. I mean, we can guess at the amount of AI content, but I'm under the assumption that 99% of the content out there right now being created is heavily influenced by AI.
99%.
I would have. I mean, if you look at even
Wow.
Instagram this week came out and talking about they can't handle the amount of AI content that's coming through. They're not even going to block it because it's just so much and they can't tell anymore. It's
Yeah.
just very, very difficult to tell. I mean, I may be exaggerating. It might be 80% or 90%. All I want to give people is the idea is in the next year or two, the majority of content that consumers are going to be engaging in is synthetic content. That's where we're at. And we can have conversations that say, well, an AI can't be as authentic or human. And I would like to think that that's true. I really want to say, I mean, you and I, we love the idea of humans creating stories. And maybe it's the most human thing of all is telling the story. But I'm seeing people fall in love with their AIs. I'm seeing
Mhm.
people getting married to their AIs. There's something pretty powerful. Whether I think that's right or wrong doesn't matter. It's happening.
Yeah.
So when that's happening, do you think that a synthetic being can't create authentically human content? I would probably venture to say that they can. When does that happen? It could be happening now, and it's certainly going to happen in the very near future. So the con about all this is where does the creator go from here? And my standard question to everything, Park, is I don't know. I wish I had the answer, but I do feel that we have a 12 to 24-month window available where a human being can make an impact on a niche group of people on a niche topic and build an audience. And why that's important, why I feel that's important and critical right now to do is I don't know if that's going to be possible in 3 years. I don't
Mhm.
know if discoverability of a human based creator that's creating a newsletter or videos or whatever can break through any algorithm that's out there. So we're relegated to things like, at least right now, like my most important thing is my email newsletter. I have, for the most part, I've got some bots, just like everybody's got bots signed up for their email, but majority of these people are human beings. I'm starting to know a lot of them. I know I've got a newsletter list of 80,000 people. I know a couple thousand of those people that I've interacted with over the years. These are human beings that we're building relationships with. And I've been able to build, I'm lucky that I've been around long enough to be able to build that through public speaking and through natural algorithms that benefited long form content in the future, that in the past, that maybe not in the future. So we can do these things now. We can build an email newsletter. We can build a Substack. We can build a following on YouTube, on TikTok. We can do in person events. We can do books. We can create those things and build an audience that we know. And I specifically, I'm kind of pushing through email or even through SMS text or something like that, where I actually have somebody's data. And I feel I can do that right now before the stream of AI content is so going to be so difficult to break through.
Mhm.
So that's where I'm like, you and I talked a little bit beforehand, like, what do we do? Where are we going? It's like, if you, uh, if you feel like you have to build your personal brand now, you really have to be known for something. Being known is going to be the moat. when when AI seems to be taking over everything, if you've been known before that happens, I think you've got an opportunity. You've got a business model there of some kind. That's for a business, for content marketing, and that's for an individual if you're building out your own revenue sources. So that's where I'm like, okay, you may not be able to go as broad as you wanted to. You may just have to focus on Kevin Kelly's 1,000 true fans and really figure out on this small topic, I can really make an impact telling it this way in this form. And a lot of that, by the way, is going and doing public speaking like you and I have done for so many years.
Yeah.
Because right now, I'm saying right now because in the future, I'm sure they'll figure that one out too. Right now, an AI can't do that. Can't get in front of an audience live, can't shake somebody's hand, and can't present material and impact people on a one-to-one
Yeah.
basis. So that's kind of, I'd like to think that's a negative, but a pro, because what I want people to do, Park, is not say, I have time to do this. What I'm telling people is, I don't know if you have time. I don't know if that content marketing model that I've been talking about for 25 years is going to work in 5 years. But I think it works right now. And that's where we have to take it seriously.
The numbers, and I've been looking at a lot of different research. One in particular was Drew McClellan's research he did on what clients expect of their ad agencies in embracing AI in their work. And what I keep seeing is kind of this one third, one third, one third thing happening both on the client side and the agency side. One third of the creator professionals out there, or those hiring creator professionals, are totally embracing AI and really running with it to build their agencies, build their client business, so forth. One third is still kind of on the fence. Like, yeah, I'm dabbling in it. I do a little bit here, a little bit there.
Mhm.
And one third seems to be completely lost to it, that they haven't really, I don't know if they think it's a passing trend or what. And what you've seen, do those numbers add up?
That's probably some kind of reality.
Hmm.
I know a lot of people. I'm seeing too many people that are certain. I just wrote an article about this. Like, there's certain AI is going to be the devastation of the world, and then there's certain it's going to be amazing. Um, I think the one thing that I would say is we've been here before. I mean, when I was first looking for a job, this is in the '90s. The reason why I got my job is because I was proficient at Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Access.
You knew
That
the
was the
tech.
Microsoft suite. I knew the tech.
Yeah.
Look it, just take that example for what it is and move it here. If you go in to any situation and you have some idea of, I've used ChatGPT, I've used Claude, I've used Gemini, Copilot. I don't know anybody using Copilot, but let's just say it's Copilot for Microsoft. I One of my favorite tools is Whisperflow, where I basically talk everything. It's funny where most of my day used to be typing things. I do to write, but most of my back and forth through all these AI engines I'm using is all through voice. And so I use Whisperflow to do that. It's a great tool. I'm using all these tools. I'm listening to the artificial intelligence podcast. I'm listening to as much of this that I can get so that I have some idea of what I'm talking about, where things are going. I feel bad for those people that just heard from others about AI, or, you know what, the company's trying to get an AI council together and they're sort of pushing away at it. I hate to say it, but you got to jump in with 2 feet. You got to jump in the whole way and you got to test these things out because this is the new Microsoft Word. This is the new PowerPoint. It's the new Excel or Sheets or whatever you want to call it. It's just that much more important because when decisions are going to be made, if you're in an organization or if you're going to figure out what your business model is going to be for on the creator side, if you have an idea what's going on with how you can use these AI tools, you're going to be 10 steps ahead. You just are. I mean, I can't put a number on it, Park, how much more efficient I am just using these tools.
Absolutely. Well, you remove the tedium and the minutia of creation, and you've got to go out and you've got to do your research. But someone made the point to me that folks our age, we're roughly the same age. I mean, I've been at this for 40 plus years, that the baby boomers and the Gen Xers actually have an advantage because we've already been through the years of writing books and building our creative and really understanding writing. So when we work with AI, we don't let it completely take over, but we know how to leverage it versus maybe the younger folks coming into the creator world that were like, well, I can publish 12 books today on, on Amazon because they said
Yeah.
I could.
Yeah. Well, and we know, I mean, I guess we can call BS too. Like we
Yeah.
know if you know your history
Yeah.
and you know how things work, you can, because as we all know, whatever you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. So if
Hmm.
you and I don't think you have to go like I never went for the whole thing like you have to be a prompt engineer. What I really like is I don't necessarily create my own prompts. I just communicate as much information as I can. My prompts are sometimes 10 minutes long. Like I will talk and I'm talking just like I'm talking to you now and I'm going, here's how I feel and here's where I'm going and here's gonna and then I'm saying, okay, after all that, give me 5 questions and ask them to me one at a time, and so that we can get more clarity on this issue that I just regurgitated to you. Those are the types of things that's really valuable. Like I was in Florida a couple weeks ago just trying to get warm, and I'm sitting by the pool, and I created a whole new presentation, and I talked that all through with my co-CEO and just got the and it's incredible that you're able to do that. And by the way, people like I have some family members that are like, you use AI, you're going down with the rest of them. Like you shouldn't be using the evil tools. I actually had one of my close family members tell me that yesterday. He's a musician. He's like, you can't be doing that. You're giving in. We live music forever. Those types of things. But I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm not the when I and I think everybody knows that. I don't know if you do this, Park, but do you get to a point where you're using it so much, you're like, that's too much. Like I feel a little bit weird about that might not be mine, and I'll push it back a little bit and say,
Yeah.
"Look, I don't know where you got those thoughts. Those are not my thoughts."
Yeah.
It's like, let's bring it
You
back to my
definitely.
thinking. You have to push back with it. But I would agree. I think that we're we're in a really unique position as older folk, as you said, maybe because of the in-person event side as well. Like we
Hmm.
grew up networking to another person, and that is so critical. So if you feel take that 99%, 1% rule. The 1% is going to be you and I trying to build this audience. Well, we're basically vinyl. And that's what I keep telling everybody. It's just like, look it, you're going to have 99% of this stuff that's just happening, this content that's a part of the system. You're going to have a lot of very large multi-trillion dollar companies that are going to make a lot of money off of these consumers that are consuming all this, and they're going to do what they do. And then there's the 1%. We're the vinyl. We have a small audience that knows, likes, and trusts us. And we're able to do commerce through that in some way. And they want to come see us in person, or they want to buy our books, or they want to be members in our community and do those types of things. That is a real possibility for people. So don't think that, oh my God. And you can use AI to do those things to make
Hmm.
sure, like, well, I have a business model check all the time. It's like, oh, okay, I have my newsletter and I have my website. Could I create a multi-sponsored model out of that? How would that look? And how much would I charge? And what number of sponsors make sense? And I'm just brainstorming with myself basically. and I'm able to get to that point, and I think that's where the advantage is, where you're basically doing a lot of that work up front, where I used to need 10, 15 people, or I used to find who's the person that I know in my network that knew that or that
Mhm.
knows that. Oh, okay, I gotta call them up or I gotta get a meeting or whatever. Maybe you don't need to do that as much anymore. So there's an opportunity there.
Yeah. Well, and here's how I use AI, and it has been over the past couple of years in the development of our Story Cycle Genie, which hats off to Sean Schroeder and Matt Levine, whose idea was to say, let's take your IP to market and use it. And um, I go in and I'll spend hours in it, but I will have first of already created my brand story, the brand brain in it, so it knows the business of story. It also knows Park Howell's voice because it's read
Mhm.
my books, it's read my blogs, and it knows how to write like me, but it still can't replace me. And so just a use case that I have turned from. I don't know how long it takes you to write a thought leadership piece. You've written a lot more of them than I have, but it's probably an 8 to 10 hour chore for me to do the research and all this. But what I will do, for instance, is I will have someone on the show. Let's go back to Drew McClellan of the Agency Management Institute. He has this amazing research out. We talked about it on the show.
Mhm.
I got a PDF of it, and I just asked the Story Cycle Genie. I said, I want you to review the PDF, and then I want you to write a thought leadership piece about how this tool, the Story Cycle Genie, can fill in the blanks for the agencies, that haven't adopted the technology yet, and how they can, kind of be first to market with it in a lot of ways. It will then, in about 3 minutes, give me a 2,500 word thought leadership post, and which, by the way, is already optimized for GEO, AEO, and SEO. So I don't have to think about that. I can think about the creation. And then I look at
Mhm.
it, and like you said, I start reading through it. I go, I'd never say it like this. No, I change. Let's delete this section. I'll go back and rewrite a bunch of it. But what it will also do will trigger a story in me, an event that I experienced somewhere in my lifetime as a storyteller or an agency owner. And I'll go, oh, that reminds me of the time when I bought my first iPad, took it to my largest client, and how they fondled it for 15 minutes. And, it was a way for me to position our agency as tech responsive, ahead of the trends with them, right? So I said, let's tell that story. And I had to write it out because AI, the Story Cycle Genie, didn't know it. Put it at the top of the post. It now becomes my singular premise. Are you an ad agency that is embracing and advancing technology, or are you fearful of it? And then I asked the genie, sprinkle this idea throughout. And it kept coming back. And then, Joe, it did a scarily good job.
Mhm.
And then I went back in and I tweaked it and added my voice back into it. But it took me about 2 hours to write that piece that would have taken me, you know, 8 to 10 hours. And it is my voice because it's my experience. It knows my voice. And I have gone in now as chief copy editor to be able to bring the big thinking, to life in my own way.
I love that example. It reminds me. So my last book, Burn the Playbook, as you know, came out about 6 months ago, 6 months ago. It's a shorter book. It's about 50,000 words. And I worked hard on it and I put all the things together and it needed some editing. And I'm not a great editor. And like when you're in you know this, when you're in your own book, you're not your best editor. Like
Forget about it.
you're
Yeah.
too invested. Like I need somebody else to do it. And I started putting chapters into my ChatGPT editor and I'm like, okay, here's the whole book. I'm like, what's missing? Like and I tell it said focus on this, focus on this, focus on this. What am I not doing right? And I'm like, oh my god, it's like there's things that I just missed. It
Hmm.
felt like I missed. I'm like, oh, like those types of things I think are so valuable because I'm just like, hey, don't rewrite it. So it's like I just not know like what's not bringing this thing together, and then of course it's my buyer persona or it's my persona that I've already set up. This is a creator who is on their second or third career. You know they used to be in marketing or public relations or communications, and now they're building an audience for themselves. Those types of things, so that and they know that that's who they are. And I don't know. I think people in our circles are doing those types of things, but I think most people don't know that that's like a thing
Hmm.
that you can do, that you can really use that to
Well, in
save a
your
lot of
new
time.
book, Burn the Playbook, wasn't that kind of inspired by your own kids that are moving into the career world?
It
And
well,
like, what do you
it was.
do?
it was not supposed to be. So, yeah, I wanted to give my kids I have 2 kids. They are 20, almost 25, and almost 23 now. And I wanted to give them some advice, and as I think most parents feel like, you're not able to give a lot of that wisdom, and when you do, they don't listen to you
No,
very
of
well.
course not.
And I really wanted to put something together. I'm like, "Look, this is" they're both, they're both graduating from college or they're moving on to their first jobs, and I'm like, "I want them to know these things that I feel are true right now." And so I just started writing, and I'm like, "Look at the whole system that is being set forth about going to school and getting a job, and then we go and we retire and we live a long, happy life." I'm like, "That's doesn't if it ever existed, it doesn't exist anymore." I
Mhm.
said, "So," and what's scary is that the school system and the job system is still set up the way it was 50 years ago. In essence, it's the same. Nothing has changed. And so we're all like living in this broken model, but nobody seems to have noticed it. They're just walking around like, "Oh yeah, it's just the same old, same old." But I'm like, everything has changed.
Yeah.
So that's where I said, "Hey, look at all these things that are happening right now." And I think that there's a better way to go about this. So I go through a lot of the things that we're talking about. It's just like where you have an opportunity to do something special in the world,
Mhm.
and you can actually create that through different means and tell your story to a group of people, where you can make a major impact on the world, and live this life of service, but also live a life where you're generating revenue and you don't have anybody telling you where you gotta live and what job you have to do and when you can take days off and all those types of things. Although they're both working for companies right now,
Yeah.
and they're very happy, so that's great. But my concern is that it's not set up that way. If the career paths and the jobs that you get at universities right now, most of those jobs are going away in 5 years.
Yeah.
So what are we gonna do? So that's like right now is the perfect time to focus on what do I love to do? What am I good at? What am I passionate about? What when I get up in the morning, what am I thinking about? Like what's really important to me? And then that if you are really passionate about anything, you can monetize it. So that's where I'm like, okay, well, what is that thing that you really love? Like I always went back, I was got really interested in publishing and marketing from I was like enthralled about the persuasive project process and how that works and whatever. And I started putting that together, and lo and behold, it became content marketing. Who knew? Those types of things. So you do that process and figure out, what is we call it your tilt. What is that one thing that you're so good at to some audience that you can break through all the other clutter out there? That definition was good 15 years ago and is good today.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's just more content, and there'll be more content tomorrow and more after that. But there are people that need your information and want your information. So yeah, I wrote it for them. And what was great about it, Park, is they were the first two that read it. So I put it together and I said, "Hey, I wrote this for you both. I'm thinking about I might publish it, but I'm not going to do anything with it right now. I want you to read it, and I would love to give you feedback or for you to give me feedback." And we set up a meeting at. They wanted to go to Olive Garden, so we went to went to Olive Garden, and they had their notes on their phone, and they went through the whole thing, and we spent 2 hours just eating breadsticks and going through the whole thing, and it was amazing feedback, and most of it I put in the book. And then and then
Yeah.
we just decided to publish it, and it's been it's a really good book for kids, young adults who are just getting out of college or high school and they're looking for what's next. It's also really good for people that have been in a job for 10, 15 years and get laid off and decide that they're living somebody else's dream and they're saying, "What's next?" This is a great place to be because when you ask yourself what's next, you're open to questions and curiosity that you weren't before. And that is the most exciting place to be. So it's funny because I talked to a few people lately that just got laid off and I feel really bad about it. And I've been talking to them, and I'll do a Zoom with them, and I'm very excited for them, and they're depressed. And I'm like, I get it, totally get it. I've been where you are. I got let go of a job a long time ago. I totally get it. Different position, but I was. I said, but you are in such an exciting position. You can do anything you want. They're like, "No, no, no, I can't. I got bills, I got kids, I got thi." No, you can do anything you want. The technology is available. We don't there's not a middle person where we can reach this out. We can actually talk to your audience directly using whatever tools are available now. You can do this. And
Mm.
so those are the, and that's why I'm excited for them because they never thought these things were possible. They always thought here was the path. And I'm like, you can make your own path. We don't
Yeah.
know what it is yet. So it is very exciting in a lot of ways.
Well, and as you were talking about that, kind of a poster child for the Burn the Playbook, and I will be the proud father saying this, is our son Parker, who give you his journey real quick. He's a little bit older than your boys. He's now just turned 38, but he always loved filmmaking. And so in the early 2000s, 2006, he went to Chapman University, a very renowned film program, and graduated from there in 2010 and wanted to be, a director. I want to direct great movies. Well, then he, I think, kind of realized that, well, that's a little bit like saying I want to be, a starting quarterback for, the Cleveland Browns, since you got your hat on there, or the Seattle Seahawks,
Which
which
is I
I'm
actually, yeah, you gotta use a different example. It's not that hard to be a Cleveland Browns quarterback. There's been so many in the last few years. Yeah. Go
but
ahead.
he got out and he was the way he paid his way through school is first he worked for me at my ad agency and he learned um, Photoshop, Illustrator, and all of these animation programs. And he kept learning, totally self taught. Chapman taught him nothing in this area. And when he first got out, he needed to make some money. So he was doing graphic animations for like Dancing with the Stars and some of these game shows. And he was just on the production crew. He would crank them out, make some pretty good money. And then he realized, he goes, yeah, I don't want to be a director anymore. I am going to focus on mixed reality and virtual reality in Hollywood because nobody here knows how to do that stuff. And so he dove headlong into VR, even taught himself how to write code. And so he could bring his creativity to the filmmaking world, but now in the virtual reality space. And he made his very first film was an LA winning VR film contest winner. Anyways, jump ahead, AI pops up. And this is when I was kind of like, I don't know, Parker. I was kind of like the doubting Thomas, it's going to create this slop. I'm not really going to embrace it. I'm a writer, that
Yeah.
thing. He goes, Dad, you got to pay attention to it. And this was like maybe 4 years ago. And one of his very first projects he did was the Council of Wisdom. You could ask ChatGPT anything, and Jesus would give you a response. Gandhi would give you a
Yeah.
response. He would take all these big thinkers and the council would get together and give you a
Oh
response to
my
here's how
gosh,
you
that's
should do that.
beautiful.
They're
Yeah.
like, I mean, this is when it was first starting and he got a big kick out of it. Anyways, he moves on. He's got a production company out of Austin, Texas now, and all he does is virtual reality, mixed reality work for very large brands like Cognizant and so forth. He created his very first meta VR mixed reality game called Monkey Tower that he launched in October. He spent his own money. He and a developer created over the course of time, and he's trying to over a course of a year. But what I'm really proud of him, and this is just for anybody out there that's thinking, do I really embrace this stuff or not? That he in 4 weeks, the month of December, created a language learning augmented reality app in a contest through Meta. Meta said they had 3,500 people in a number of different categories. And I think maybe they recognized 30 winners. Parker won his
Oh my
category and
gosh.
$50,000 to continue building out his app, all because he
Congratulations.
was
That's awesome.
curious
Yeah.
and he goes, this is a swim lane nobody is figuring out yet. I'm going to be one of the best swimmers in it. And I think that's the best advice to any young people coming out in the world. Figure out AI because I think it's probably the one big thing across the board that's impacting us. And those, like you said, who have lost a job, look at maybe if AI is in your world, it's in all of our worlds, but if it's in your career path, how could you potentially leverage that for future growth?
It's well, first of all, congratulations. That's
Yeah,
such a
thank
great
you.
story. I love that. I think the key word that you said was his curiosity.
Yeah.
And that's where if you have I mean, curiosity, if isn't that the it seems like one of the most human traits. You have the storytelling and we're curious. We're just curious people. If you just point that curiosity in the right direction, especially with this whole thing going on. I talked to this morning. I was talking to an old newspaper guy. I'm an old magazine guy. That's where I started. He was an old newspaper guy, and we were talking about, oh my gosh, all the opportunities. And if only people knew, because they were saying when the newspaper went down and the magazine went down or didn't, it's not as healthy as it used to be, there were all these other digital opportunities going on where if you were just a little curious and you started to talk to clients and saying, where are you putting your money? What are you doing over here? What's that? Like, why'd you make that decision? Why aren't you running the 6-time ad program anymore? You got your answers.
Yeah.
All you had to do was just ask some questions. So it's the same thing going on. Like, what challenges do you have? What are your pain points? What's keeping you up at night? Those types of things. There's so many business models. We're going to see the largest boom of entrepreneurship we've ever seen. We saw it during COVID. We're going to see another boom again because out of necessity. Because
Hmm.
a lot of, and I hate to say it, but a lot of these corporations, their stock prices go up when they announce that they're laying off more people. And there's no doubt about it that if you are a CEO today, you are given an edict to say, how do we create more revenue per employee and more profit per employee? And that's how stock goes up. So if they can figure that's a real thing. So we're going to have a lot of opportunities if we work for some of these corporations. There's going to be things that are going to happen. We can jump it hasn't happened all yet. Even though 80% of the world's robots are owned by Amazon, all that stuff hasn't happened yet, but it is
Hmm.
going to happen. It is happening in front of us. And we have a real opportunity to do something amazing like your son did. And I guess I just want people to realize that. It's like, don't be like, oh man, this job's not going to last very long, whatever. There's going to be another job, another role, another thing, another audience, whatever. And it's right here. And you have a unique set of skills that
Yeah.
nobody else has.
Yeah.
Let's do something with it.
Well, and like so many people, just going back to him, like graduating from film school, oh, I'm not going to be a director. I guess I'm going to have to go and do some other pursuit. He's like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, maybe directing's not my thing, but this thing over here
That's right.
is,
That,
and he took advantage of it. It plays to his skill sets. So that's what I think.
beautiful.
If you were to share one idea with our listeners right now that are maybe on the fence with AI, afraid of AI, or fully embracing AI over 2026, what would you have them do?
I would probably put aside 30 minutes a day and block it out in your calendar and block that out for working in an AI tool. And I don't even want to be more specific than that, Park. I'm just like, you need to block it out. We are in education mode. We're in full training mode right now. Nobody knows anything. Like just let's just start there, folks. Nobody knows anything. And anybody who's sure, like you and I have talked about things we think are going to happen. We don't know. I don't
Right.
know. I'm guessing on this. This is just my gut instinct. It's just from experience and where I'm going. Nobody knows anything. We all have huge opportunities, but you're not going to know unless you play around with these tools. So get in there, whether it's ChatGPT, pick a tool. I don't care. Most of the large language models are with between 3 and 6 months of each other, anyways. So I would pick Gemini, Claude, or ChatGPT and go in every day and start playing around with it. Create a project. Do whatever. Like, do your strategic plan with it. Create a co-CEO. Let's do something personal. Let's say that you want to lose a few pounds. Create a health coach like I did. Let's say you're concerned about your finances right now, which all of us probably should be a little bit. Let's create your own financial advisor. These are things that you can do and build these things out, and you will learn so much by doing that. So that's probably the one thing I would say is you got to get in the game a little
Hmm.
bit. You don't, then you can make your decision on what you do with it, but you can't do anything if you're still working on a typewriter. Like you need to know how to do bold, italics, how to create a new sheet, how to save your files, those types of things like the word processor did, where I got a job that I probably shouldn't have got just because I knew stupid Microsoft Word back in 1997. I
Yeah.
mean, this is crazy. So that's what I would do. Block out 30 minutes. And then probably the other thing would be I think understanding where you're going or where you want to go is critically important, and doing some of that work up front is almost a necessity to get there. So write down the list of 10 things that make you you. Like write down like I'm good at this, I like this, I'm passionate here, and then you can really figure out what I would call your tilt. What is your differentiation? Where are you going to make your mark? You might not have the answer about where that is yet, but if you really do a self-analysis of who you are and what makes you, and you can ask other people, by the way, it doesn't have to be just you. You can use your chat tools to get there. You can use a lot of things, but get there and figure that out and list those things. And then try to figure out where you want to go. Because once how do you know what you're going to do? Like even your son had an idea, course corrected. You always pivot. We always pivot, but get some idea of where you want to go, and then you have an opportunity to get there. If you don't know where you're going to go, I can't help you. So you got to do some of that self analysis, and I would get that down. Write down those top 10 things that make you you, and then start looking at, okay, well, what audiences really need the information that I have, and that's where you can maybe start a thing. That's where I would say that's where you get your 12 to 24 months of build an audience now. Please, if you get anything out of this, now it could be a newsletter that goes to 50 people. It could be a little YouTube channel where you talk about something that maybe you know a little bit about that some people don't know. Like something that gets you known, because in 24 months, I don't know how possible that's going to be.
Mm. Wild. Yep. Crazy times now.
It
The
is
final
crazy. It's so crazy. It's so
Well,
crazy.
and I wasn't a huge believer 2.5 years ago until Sean Schroeder showed up and said, "Hey, let me show you what we could do with AI and your IP," and it blew me away when he showed me, his first round of the build on the Story Cycle Genie. I had sent you the output for your brand story, and all I did is had it run through your website. It gave you an assessment, and then it gave you an overall narrative strategy, which of course I didn't touch because I don't know your narrative strategy. It just says it's kind of like that mirror on the wall. How's my
Uh-huh.
brand showing up for all? Where there was your assessment. And then according to that assessment, here would be a potentially recommended narrative strategy based off the hero's journey or our story cycle system. What was your take on what I sent you?
Uh, I I wanted to know how long it took was the first thing.
Took 2 minutes for the assessment, and it took about 4 minutes to run the overall brand narrative strategy.
I liked it. It talked about if I was still in the game of what I've been doing in the past, I think it was perfect. I think what's changed now, and you know this from my writing has changed in the
Yeah.
past probably 4 months because I'm writing about different things and I'm changing that myself because I'm doing some of this analysis myself. But I think it was pretty darn good for, oh, hey, Joe, you're the content marketing guy, you're into the creator economy. Here's what you're doing. I mean, I thought that was pretty darn good. I mean, it's a very, very helpful tool.
Yeah. Well, we've got, thank you for that. And we've got over 3 dozen expert agents inside the Genie. So you can almost think of it like you've got a 3 dozen person marketing staff or agency working for you, and you worked with it, individually. It learned you, you iterate in it, it learns your voice, and it does a remarkable good job. We've sent some of the thought leadership posts out to Winston and some of the other AI sniffer agents out there, and it would pass 99 to 100% human. That's how incredible it has become.
There's my question. If a human wrote something and didn't have any AI help, I bet you it would be less than that.
Yeah.
I bet you it would come in like 82%. That. It can't
Yeah.
be. It can't be.
So
I
that's
think
what we've been working on,
that's
I mean,
good for
that's our
you.
swim lane now, and it's a platform anyone can use. They don't have to know prompting, and it's just putting AI to work for you as a collaborator, not a replacer.
I love it. I love it. I
Yeah,
think that, it's funny how we're all making our own pivots
yeah,
with this technology and we're all trying to find our way. And it's super. I think to your point, maybe the word of the show is curious. As long as we're staying curious, I think we're going to be relevant.
yeah.
So,
Well, Joe, thank you so much. It's really great to see you again. I had I known you were going to show up in your Browns gear, I would have put on my Seattle Seahawks gear.
well, you have a winning team. This is sort of like I put this on, so I want to know. I want people to know what state I'm in. Like, this has
Is that
been,
despair or
it's just like I'm crying for help. Like, somebody please. I'm still wearing brown after, we've been around for so long. No Super Bowl, no quarterback, but I'm still a fan.
yeah, you gotta
I'll
be.
still support him.
You gotta
Hey,
be.
I
And
can't.
people
It's ingrained in me. Like, I wish I want to be a Seattle Seahawk. Like, I want to be any other team. I just can't do
yeah.
it. I
Yeah.
just can't.
Well, and
So
I've lived in Arizona for over half my life now, and even my Seattle buddies go, "Well, aren't you a Cardinals fan?" And I go, Seattle, the Seahawks showed up when I was in the ninth grade as our expansion team, and so I've always felt like they're my team.
I love it.
So
I
here we
love
are.
it. Oh,
But
they got a good shot this year.
they got a hell of a
Quarterback,
great defense.
and quarterback's doing the job.
Yeah, he's
It
kind of
was a
our
good. Hey,
Achilles heel.
it was a good decision, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I don't think you win that many games without him at quarterback. So
yeah, yeah.
there
So
you go.
anyways, it's been a great pleasure, and cheers to a prosperous 2026, Joe. And I'll
Eh,
keep reading your newsletter every Friday as it comes in. And folks, if you want to read a really great newsletter on content creation, what's happening in the AI world, go and subscribe to the Tilt.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Next 500 episodes, I'll be on.
Yeah, I'll see you. Yeah, and
10 years.
I hope we're still around. I'll just
I
have
have a
my
feeling
bot record it for you.
I have a feeling you will be. Yeah.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Thanks. You too.
Thanks for being with us today, for listening to the show and sharing it with anyone you know who would benefit from Joe's amazing wisdom. Of course, if you have not yet dialed in and refined your brand story, I hope you will with me over at StoryCycleGenie.ai. It has revolutionized, democratized brand narrative strategy development and storytelling so that now anybody from a solo entrepreneur to a small to medium-sized business to a Fortune 500 enterprise can benefit from world-class brand development that takes minutes, not months, at a fraction of the cost of the old way of branding. This is built on our StoryCycleGenie.ai platform, which is the only AI-driven, narrative-native platform guided by the StoryCycle system with the and, but, therefore narrative framework at its core. And believe me, it will enthrall you with how quickly it will help you build your authentic brand story. And in fact, you can go to StoryCycleGenie.ai right now and test the strength of your brand story for free. It will give you a grade from A+ to F- and a 14-point storytelling assessment that will validate what you're doing well, reveal gaps that you can easily fix, and inspire you with new ways to think about your brand story. That's all at StoryCycleGenie.ai. Now, I hope you'll be here next Monday when one of my all-time favorite authors, Christopher Vogler, who wrote the amazing book called The Writer's Journey about the hero's journey and how to incorporate it in your life and your creative work. He's going to be here, and we are going to talk about his work. First, introducing Hollywood to the hero's journey through his work at Disney and the impact he has had on the creator economy ever since. So be here for Christopher Vogler, author of The Writer's Journey. And until then, remember that the most potent story you'll ever tell is the story you tell yourself. So make that one epic. Thanks so much for listening.